Hi, I'm Mitchell.
And I'm Greg.
And you're watching GB Productions. Today we're going to take this 2014 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 LT for a test drive. Now what you're going to see here is some B-roll of me filming the exterior of the car and me voiceovering a description of the outside of the car because, as you can see in the other camera, it is horrible outside today and we didn't feel like filming outside today.
It's very wintry.
Yeah.
For March 27th.
So yeah, this is the 2014 Silverado, and it's a Z71 package. And so some of the goodies that comes with includes tow bars out front, like this, and then some other things it comes with, which I'll show you guys, are skid plates underneath. So right there is one of them, and then there's another further back that I believe it covers, well, one of them does cover the gas tank, and I forget what the other one covers, but yeah, so those are some of the features that the Z71 package comes with. And the other thing that it comes with is a G80 diff, which I will mention again in the in-car part of the video. Under the hood here we have a 5.3 liter V8. It's a very nice engine bay in this truck. Other than if you actually have to work on it, it's a really long way to reach in to get to the engine. I think with all these trucks, the half tons, the 3/4 tons, and the 1 tons, the actual body is exactly the same on them. And the side effect to that is that the larger Duramax diesel has to fit in this engine bay as well, even though, you know, this 1500 doesn't have that as an option and never did. But yeah, it's a huge engine bay, like absolutely massive. And there's washer fluid reservoir, your ECU is right there. This is like your air intake, your throttle body is right there. And behind that you have your intake manifold, and then the block is below that. Your coolant reservoir and the battery there, and your airbox. And then underneath this huge grill is going to be your radiator and your air conditioning or evaporator. And then over here is what I think is supposed to be a secondary battery slot, although I've been told that it's not. And then way down on the back there, you can see the catalytic converters coming off the headers and your serpentine belts. It's very, very nice engine bay in my opinion. I will fully admit that I do like most GM vehicles. I mean, I do drive one as my daily. So here in the interior, you can see that you can choose the wheels you want driven. So you have 2-wheel drive, automatic, 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel high, and 4-wheel low. Below that is your lights. So on most vehicles nowadays, there's automatic lights. Whether that's a good thing or not is your personal opinion. The one nice thing about automatic lights is that they're, for the most part, foolproof. So you're not likely going to see someone with automatic lights driving down the highway as a ghost car with no lights on, which both Greg and I have seen quite often in our travels, mostly Stellantis vehicles, but there has been others as well. There's a little cubby hole there. I don't know what goes in that or why that's there.
It'll probably be filled with something else for other options.
And then here's your driver's information center. So you have information, audio, phone, navigation, settings. In this category, you have your speed, your first trip odometer, your second trip B, how much fuel range you have left. So we're just over half a tank. Your oil life, 90%. Tire pressure, normally in the summer, your tires have TPMS sensors, so that'll tell you what your tire pressure is, at least an estimate. Your fuel economy over the last 50 kilometers. Now you can adjust that to be upwards of the last 650 if you want, and you can also reset the best score. The best the owner of the truck has been able to do is 9.5. Right now it's really bad because we've been sitting in this parking lot idling for a while having lunch. Your timer here, that just tells you how long the engine's been on. The engine hours, which this engine's up to 3,000 hours. And your transmission fluid temperature, which is quite low right now, but it has been sitting here doing nothing for a while. Then on your gauges up here, you have your battery voltage, your engine temperature, fuel gauge, and your oil pressure, which when you're towing heavy loads, these things are important. Now this is a GM truck, so yes, the speedometer goes up to 200, but your actual limitation of speed is about 170. That mainly has to do with the tire rating of the tires. So you can do 106 miles an hour. That's it. In this truck, there is a damaged rear view mirror. Up here, you place to store your sunglasses. You have I don't know what that does. It
is working on it. Yeah, just they're so dim that you can't even.
Lights.
Yeah, just like this here, about the same thing.
Lights. Here's your microphone for your hands-free calling. This truck is old enough such that they don't have a microphone over the passenger, whereas, for example, my newer GM vehicle, my Cruise, does have a microphone. The two microphones are actually here where the sunglass holder would be in that car. You have two glove boxes. We won't bother opening them. There's a fair amount of space in there. Of course, this truck here is the 6-passenger one. So instead of having a nice, massive center console, you have a seat and a very useless center console instead. Here is a fairly early MyLink system. So it doesn't have things like Apple CarPlay yet because it wasn't invented. But it is a fairly advanced for what it is. It's an early version of it. So you have your audio, your phone, your OnStar navigation, and so on. And yeah, you can choose your radio station like any car. Down here you have your climate control, automatic climate control. similar to the van we reviewed last year, although this one doesn't have heated seats or a steering wheel because you'd have to get the high country for that. Down here you can turn your traction control on and off. I don't know what that one is.
Cargo light.
Okay, cargo light.
The white light on the back.
And that's your hill descent control, which is used for off-roading mainly. And that's just a phone holder that the owner of the vehicle has. Your gear shift is here, so if you're in manual mode, you can go up and down a gear there, and that is your towing mode. And down here, there was an aftermarket trailer brake controller installed. Some of these trucks actually have one built in. This one is a Z71, so it's an off-road focused truck, so it didn't have one built in. Since the owner of this vehicle is planning to tow a fairly heavy trailer of 7,000 pounds, they obviously need trailer brakes. And then over here, you have your window controllers, your mirror controllers. These mirrors are aftermarket. The owner of the vehicle bought them and installed them for towing. They're just some
slide in and out, don't they?
Yep. You can demonstrate if you want. They might be frozen.
Oh, there we go. Oh my God. You should.
They are electric mirrors, and they're heated. But I'd like to note that the creator of these mirrors wired them backwards. So instead of pressing this direction for them to go out, they go in, and that one goes out, that one goes up, and that one goes down. And on this mirror in particular, telescoping doesn't even work. So a great set of mirrors. And again, this is a crew cab, as you'll see in our footage when we're driving. So there is loads of space in the back, even roomier than the Grand Caravan, for example, that we reviewed before. And this has the 5.75 foot box, which is the short box for the crew cab model. There is also a 6'6" box for these trucks. And then if you get a regular cab or a double cab, sorry, just with the regular cab in the 1500s, can you get an 8-foot box. Now if you move up to the 3/4 tons and the 1 tons, then you can get a full-size crew cab in an 8-foot box. The main reason they don't offer that size of box on a 1/2 ton is weight. So now we're going to take it out on the road, see how it does. Enjoy. So the Silverado, as you guys, anybody really watching this video would know, competes with the Ford F-150 and the Ram 1500, both the classic and the new one. This is a 2014 model, so the Ram 1500 Classic was the competitor for this truck back in the day. And the F-150 has gone through so many generations, I don't even know which one it was at this time. The GM trucks are kind of known to be kind of in between the cheapness of the Fords and the luxuriness of the Rams. So they're not as nice inside per se as a Ram, but they're generally nicer inside than the Fords. Now the GM trucks come with a whole host of engines. For example, with this model, you had the choice of a 4.3 liter V6, a 5.3 liter V8, and a 6.2 liter V8 from the Corvettes. Wow. As we drive through a blizzard.
It's windy as heck.
This truck, this truck has the 5.3 liter V8, and it was also the first year where they moved that engine to direct injection along with the cylinder deactivation systems. So this was the first year with the active fuel management or cylinder deactivation. So depending on where you're going, you can switch from V8 to V4 mode. For example, I was just in V4 a second ago, and now I'm back in V8. The system is relatively seamless, such that you don't even notice it happening. Sometimes you will notice the cam flip over and enable the other 4 cylinders, but right now anyway, you're not noticing it. But I'm also not driving it very hard because it is horrible out here. The 5.3 liter V8 in this vehicle has 355 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque or something like that. There'll be a correction there in the video. it's a fairly well balanced engine for this truck. I mean, since you can't talk about a pickup truck without talking about its towing capability, this truck, as spec'd, has a towing capacity of 11,600 pounds, a hitch weight of 1,750 pounds, and yeah. I have taken this truck off-roading in trails similar to what Greg and I have done in the past in his Ram, and it soaks up trails very, very well. It's a half-ton, so the suspension's quite soft. It's a quite comfortable ride. It drives kind of somewhere in between an SUV and a bigger truck. It's not a car, it's definitely a truck, but it doesn't drive as harshly as a 3/4 ton would. Now, mind you, the V8s, I mean, the LS engines are bulletproof. They'll run. They put that, as that hot sauce commercial goes, they put that shit in everything. Like, there's an LS in almost everything GM makes, besides little cars and some of the SUVs.
Sierra's got it as the 6-liter. Hopefully we'll get to do something with that at some point.
This variant of the LS engine is the most commonly picked V8. Mainly that has to do with the 6.2 liter requiring premium gas, and this one doesn't. 6.2 liter does have slightly higher towing capabilities, but in a half-ton, if you're towing 12,000 pounds, it's time to be moving up to a 3/4 ton, in my opinion.
Yeah.
These trucks only weigh about 5,300 pounds with no one in it, with nothing in it, which is a pretty lightweight vehicle. I mean, the van we test drove last fall was like 4,500 pounds, so this isn't much heavier than that. In terms of fuel economy, I mean, compared to what I'm used to, it's horrible. But compared to most other trucks, the fuel economy in this engine is not bad. I would say your combined fuel economy that my dad's been averaging in the winter is about 12 liters per 100K, or around 20-ish miles per gallon, I think, is about where the conversion is. And freedom units. Which, I mean, is pretty good. Now, a lot of people who buy these trucks do tune out the cylinder deactivation because, like any of these very complicated engineered systems like auto stop and such, over time they will destroy things or just stop working properly. Whether the owner of this truck decides to tune that out of it remains to be seen. So yeah, I didn't mention it while I was driving, but pretty much the only thing this thing's missing, in my opinion anyway, is heated seats and a steering wheel.
Well, especially being all leather. I'm assuming it's leather steering wheel. It's awfully cold in the wintertime. At least it's cloth seats though, which aren't as bad. That's why I wanted to make sure I had working heated seats in the Jetta when we put leather in it, because leather's not very warm when you get in it.
Well, in that case, the passenger heated seat didn't work, right? It was only the driver's.
I'm pretty sure it works because my mom's used it before.
I thought one of them didn't work.
I don't know. I don't remember now. Maybe they come and go too, I think. And so yeah, you can definitely tell that it is in fact a truck, as opposed to, I have experience with the 2009 generation Toyota Tundras, and it's literally like driving a very big car. Whereas this, you can tell that it's a truck. It's is it rack and pinion steering still though?
Yeah,
as opposed to the normal
independent front suspension
tall or whatever, right? Most of those other trucks, the Toyotas and whatnot, assuming they're 2-wheel drive, I don't even know what they do for the 4-wheel drive ones, but most of them are rack and pinion, which is the most common steering style for cars, which gives you great feedback, road feedback, and handling capability. But when you get into a truck, especially a bigger truck, heavy duty or whatever, there should be a difference, because number one, at least to my knowledge, they still have not come up with a heavy duty version of rack and pinion. I have my own plans to design one for my truck because I'm tired of the sloppy steering, but there's definitely a difference, especially in this truck too, I notice. You can tell that it's not, I mean, the ride is like driving a car, but the handling, the feedback is more so like a truck, which is what it should be. But especially today with it being windy as heck, it handles great. Only using 2 fingers to steer it basically. Comfortable ride like we mentioned before. The combination of the Z71 off-road package suspension style, as well as it being a half-ton, and especially being a 6-passenger based on it mainly being for carrying people as opposed to for carrying cargo. But yeah, comfortable seats. Nice to have the armrest, although you do lose, by having the third seat, you do lose some console storage space for sure.
Especially around here.
Where you gotta have another person's feet, basically. Yeah, that's the trick with my truck being the manual too. But it is nice to be able to put 6 people in it and go somewhere.
The owner of the truck has complained profusely about there being less storage in here than their Grand Caravan, mainly because there's no center console in this truck. It has its option. And you can option these trucks with a center console, a 5-seater, which in the case of the owners of this truck probably would have been better, but they bought it used, so.
Didn't get any choice in that, really. But, I mean, to be completely honest, this has probably 150% more storage than any of my vehicles, so. But again, it's a lot newer.
And yeah, the other thing the Z71 package comes with, which I forgot to mention earlier, is the G80 LSD in the back, which is a limited slip differential. It's not quite as complicated as like an axle lock in the newer off-roading trucks. The idea of a limited slip differential is that it will automatically lock the axles if it detects slip. So it does the same thing, just it needs to detect the slip first before it locks the axles.
Yeah, if there's enough difference between left rear wheel to right rear wheel, then it'll tie them together, which is what I wish my truck did. It's supposed to have limited slip, but it doesn't work. But we should do I mean, today would be ideal conditions, but we're not going to try and film it, but we should do a limited slip test at some point.
Well, the one advantage that the Ram has, at least Greg's Ram anyway, is the solid front axle. It's slightly better off-road, just because there's more clearance.
Yeah, but less beneficial when you're talking about
road driving
efficiency and economy. But I disengage mine, and the only other thing I could do with mine to make it better is do a manual locking hub conversion.
There's also a tendency for those trucks to have death wobble, whereas the GM trucks are not susceptible to that because of the independent front suspension.
Yeah, which luckily I've never ever experienced, and I don't know anybody that's experienced it, but I have heard lots of things.
I have seen videos of it, and it looks like the kind of thing that I might never drive again after.
A little scary. A little bit scary.
So we're gonna
been plowed.
So we're gonna see how this goes now. No exit. What the heck?
That's right. What were the owner's final words? Don't ditch it.
Yeah, don't put it in the ditch.
Don't ditch it.
Well, we could have filmed an intro in there. It's in 4-wheel automatic, isn't it? So
Yes.
I don't think we'll get stuck.
And it doesn't tell you when it's switching, does it? It just does its own thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in 4 wheels right now. Wow.
Little tiny bit of a shimmy, but
These, like all the LS engines, they sound great when you're up in the RPMs. When you're around 3,000 or more. It otherwise sounds like a sewing machine when it's idling.
a very big sewing machine. Normally I refer to the little 4-bangers as sewing machine engines, but
Have you heard this thing at an idle? It sounds like a sewing machine. It sounds worse than my Cruise at idle. Yeah, this is just a little back road I've never been down before in my life.
Let's just turn around here. I guess I don't know how far it goes.
Yeah, here would probably be a good place to.
This looks like, it's a
campground.
Ooh, backhoe. Can make good use of that.
I know, right?
Come on, let's go.
I'm sure it's mostly front wheel drive when it's going back like that, because the rears won't be.
I don't know. It's really, you'd have to actually do real research into what the automatic four-wheel drive test conditions are, and based on what gear you're in and all that kind of stuff.
Another thing that the GM trucks kept for a really long time after all the other brands moved away from it was the column-mounted shifter.
That's true, yeah. All of the Rams are a dial now. I don't know about the Fords.
The Fords are a console. I don't know about the six-seater Fords that they use.
Yeah, what do you do in that case?
I think it's a dial.
Let's do a real test here.
Are you going to stop on the hill and then go?
Yeah.
Feel the front wheels.
That was four-wheel spin, but no problem with handling or taking off, gunning it up a hill. So I mean,
of course, there is traction control on this, which will help.
Well, and it didn't. Does this one flash when it's doing something? I didn't see it, so I had either all four spinning at exactly the same speed, or I don't know. That's probably the only option, I guess, right?
You'd have to turn traction control off to get at the drift.
Yeah, well, I'd probably just put it in two-wheel. I guess you could four-wheel drift if you wanted to. Pretty good, though, considering. But the, what is this one actually called? Crew cab?
Yeah, it's a crew cab short box.
The crew cabs with a short box have a lot more weight over the back wheels. So it's more balanced like an SUV or a car would be, as opposed to like my truck has basically no weight over the back wheels when it's empty.
So this truck in SUV form is a Tahoe, and the longer ones, the 2500s with the crew cab long box, would be equivalent to a Suburban. Yeah, just driving it, you can see why they sell hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these a year.
Yeah, it's nice to drive. Comfortable, handles pretty well, and the automatic four-wheel drive is pretty great. So yeah, I mean, it's an appealing vehicle. I mean, I'm probably always going to say the same thing no matter what we review, but like, I wouldn't buy one. But that's just me. I have my cars, my diesel cars for highway efficiency, and I've got my diesel truck for towing and hauling. I don't see any point in having a vehicle that does both. You just spend a lot more money. Yes, two vehicles cost more, but each one is really good at its job, is how I look at it anyways. But again, not that this isn't nice to drive, and just like Mitchell said, I can see why people want them.
I don't know if I would buy a half-ton either. But yeah. Can I judge anyone who buys a half-ton truck? No.
Well, we're not trying to judge anybody. We're not trying to judge vehicles even. We're just giving our opinions and trying to be as realistic to our needs as we can. Are we going back across to...
Yeah, you might slide over to...
Yeah, it's as far as the truck goes, really nice to drive, comfortable. I would not have any, complaints or concerns to hop in it and go for a drive, even a few hours or whatever. Wouldn't be a problem at all.
Like just last week, we went to London, then Fort Erie and back in one day.
Oh wow!
And this truck was perfectly comfortable. I was in the back seat, perfectly comfortable the whole time.
And ask Mitchell, back seats are not the place that he wants to be.
Not at all. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up here. So if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and leave a comment.
Remember to hit the bell so you get a notification when we post new videos like this or other car maintenance related content.